us. All right. We now have the opportunity to speak with our nutrition expert, none other than Lauren Dunn Nutrition. If you haven't figured it out, we do have the same last name. So this is my wife. This is the person that I've been bragging to you guys about. So I wanted to give you all the opportunity to actually meet with her and, answer some of the questions that might be coming up in your minds before you get involved with the program. The nutrition side of what we have been doing for, a good several years now, kind of with her at the helm has been pretty incredible. If you've been to our Instagram page, you have seen everything that we've been doing from like a before and after shot standpoint. So we're really excited to have another great year. And I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to meet Lauren. So, Lauren, if you don't mind, just kind of give us a little background on yourself and, why you feel so passionate about the quality of information and the science-based nutrition education that you offer to our players trying to make it to the next level.
Well, I guess to start off, I've been with Test for, I was just looking at this date, about 15 years now. I started as a trainer, actually when I was in college, did that for about 10 years, and then kind of realized that there was like a missing piece to all of my clients' success, which was nutrition. So I transitioned into that. I also kind of had my own interest. I was running marathons at the time and felt like crap constantly. I had a ton of stomach issues. My runs were awful. My lifts were terrible. I just, yes, Kevin, I felt like complete crap. So I wanted to also kind of figure that out on my own too. And then I got pregnant with our son, Jackson, who's now 7. And that was also another reason that I needed to understand more about nutrition and how it was kind of negatively impacting my life. So I transitioned into that, been doing that for a little over 5 years. Did an online course at the time. It was actually during COVID, which worked out kind of well. It was an international course. Over a year, took exams, passed with distinction, met a lot of really great people kind of across the world who had similar passions. And just, that year of learning really kind of sparked my passion for nutrition, even more so than me just doing my own, digging and reading and research before. And I think the reason is just because there's so much bad information out there about nutrition. Everyone thinks they're an expert because they eat several times a day. Everyone has an opinion on what's optimal. And I think it's important to understand that there's a lot of nuance to all that. So working with Gen Pop people, working with elite athletes, there's different strategies to kind of optimize what results you're looking for. So that's kind of what sparked my interest, my passion behind that, was the variety of approaches that you can take with different clientele for different goals.
Awesome. Well, I think a lot of the players that I've spoken to already in the recruiting process, I send them to the Instagram page where our highlights are. Just click on the transformations. And, I think people are so used to being inundated with nutrition information online, nutrition information by influencers, and, having good, sound, solid information is something that I think, every player that's considering utilizing their body in professional sports, this is one of the missing pieces of the puzzle. And I've told every single one of these guys, like, we don't just offer nutrition to check a box to say that we do it. I've gone into some of the details with them, and that's kind of what I'd like you to cover now. Like, what makes your plan and your approach to nutrition each year so seamless when it comes to where we spend our time with Test Football Academy? How do these guys get the results that they're seeing in these transformations? Because they look at them and I think they're they get fired up. Obviously there's a lot of work that goes into that on the gym side, but like having the opportunity to master this stuff from your perspective, from the nutrition side, when they are both kind of at it together, the results just seem to be off the charts every single year. So, so how do you, like, what is your approach to make sure that this is a seamlessly integrated program, to help these guys, not just when they're with us, but also when they leave, and go on into the league and try to make it ultimately to their second contract?
Well, I think what differentiates us from a lot of other facilities out there is we don't just have like a cookie cutter program that, everybody kind of fits into. That doesn't work for people. Everybody has different tastes and preferences, and again, goals. They're different weights. I mean, you have a kid that's 170 pounds versus a lineman that's 330. Like, you can't give them the same program. So I do a lot of work on my end to create customized, calorie, macronutrient targets for them to follow, based on what their goals are, in the time that we have them. So it's very specific to each athlete, and that's all work that I kind of do on the back end. I think the difference too is that I don't just give you a set of targets to follow. I teach you what that means, what that looks like. Like, what is optimal nutrition for an athlete, right? For your specific position. But what are calories? What are macros? What does that even mean? Like, those are fancy terms that are kind of thrown around in the nutrition world, but it doesn't help if you don't know what that means. So everybody gets a copy of my ebook, which is about 40 pages of literally everything that I think is important to learn about nutrition. So it touches a lot on the things, regarding like calories and macros in there. But I also walk kids through how to do everything. We have weekly meetings, kind of, as a group, which can help to clarify information that they're reading in the ebook or that they're trying to figure out on their own. But I also have contact with every single one of the athletes. They all have my cell, and we have relationships through texting that they can ask questions that they may not want to ask in person or in a group. And I invite people to do that because I'm here to help all of you guys 100% of the time. Like, there's no stupid questions. I really do enjoy when athletes reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this," or "I have a question about this," or "Can I eat this?" Like, I love that. And typically the guys that do reach out that I create kind of a really strong relationship with yield the best results. Like, they're the ones that are really dialing into the program. They're the ones that you're seeing the before and after shots of. The guys that are like meh and blow it off, they're not making it on those before and afters. A lot of them don't see progress. And then, they're halfway through and they're like, "Man, why aren't I getting leaner?" Well, you haven't changed your nutrition at all. Like, you're eating Chipotle a couple times a day, which can certainly be included, but we need to figure out how to include that optimally for you, for your training, for your goals. So I love when guys ask questions and want to actually learn more, because this isn't just an 8-week program. This will literally take you into your career and beyond. Like, these are strategies that you learn someday, 20 years down the line after a long career, when you're a dad and you're trying to teach your kids how to eat properly and things like that. So it goes way beyond just this 8-week program. Let me just say, I love when athletes from former years like still reach out to me and say, "Hey, what do you think of the supplement? What do you think of this supplement? What do you think of this food?" or whatever. I love that. So I always encourage that. Like, after the program, I'm always a resource.
Awesome. I mean, let's kind of dig into that a little bit. If, let's say they, when they do decide to train with us, they arrive on the first day, like, what are some of the typical results? Like, if they're totally bought in and they're all into this nutrition program, what are those results? And, what can they expect, if they're following it to the letter?
They're going to get lean and they're going to get jacked. Like you said before, this obviously is in conjunction with a really solid training program. The strength training that they're doing, the positional work, and all the linear and lateral speed work. You guys put in so much effort every single day to your workouts. So it's important to understand the massive role that nutrition plays to make sure that you're fueling yourself appropriately. The guys that come in and like kind of loosely follow things because they're working out so frequently, like so many hours per day, they're going to see some results, right? They'll lose a little bit of body fat, they'll get some muscle, especially if they're coming from, the tail end of their season where they've had a couple weeks off. Like their bodies are going to respond relatively well. But it's the guys typically that want to either maintain or gain weight that have a harder time. And honestly, that's like 90% of the athletes that we get, right? Most of them want to put on 15, 20 pounds. That is really, really hard to do when you are training as often as you are during this 8-week program. So being able to put on weight and, good weight, we'll call it, right? Everyone wants to put on muscle. Nobody wants to put on more body fat. So having this kind of body recomp that we get with most of our athletes where you're losing body fat, but you're gaining lean body mass, like that's the ideal kind of end result, right? For most of the guys. So we've seen guys that, may want to maintain their weight, but you see like a massive swing. So they'll drop a ton of body fat, they'll gain a lot of lean body mass. And essentially they're the same weight in both of their before and their after shots, but the swing from again the body fat to the lean body mass is huge, several pounds on either end, which kind of yield like the same weight for their shots. So
Yeah, I mean,
that what you're looking for.
we've seen some players like to get really granular about this. Lose anywhere between a pound to maybe a pound and a half of body fat per week. And then put on that same number of lean body mass per week. So a player that's with us for 8 weeks with a basically 1 pound down, 1 pound up, a 2-pound swing every week could be like some of those before and after shots are like that's a 16-pound swing, but they're the same exact weight, so I think that's a big piece of the puzzle. And then when you're the same weight and you have that kind of a swing, it's basically like taking 5-pound dumbbells out of your pockets and then going ahead and running your 40 again. So when we're talking about another, like the impact of nutrition and how that directly correlates with our 40-yard dash, which the 40 is, I've said this often, it's the turkey at Thanksgiving dinner. It's the question that everyone asks regardless of position, but especially skill positions. What's your 40? Being able to run that race as lean as possible and as explosively as possible will help your 40, will help your 5-10-5, your 3-cone, your vert, your broad. Making that a priority, making this a priority. And it's something that we spend time on every single week. Like that's why, we prioritize this because it has a direct impact on these numbers. And from my perspective, and I've said this and stared guys down in the eyes and have said, there's a very high probability that we have the best nutrition education program in the country. We do not just check a box to say that we do it. We do it at a level that, that is at this point, and getting not just, you're not just presenting these things live every Wednesday morning, but you're also recording them. You also have links that are set up so we can put it in their Google Classroom. So if they're away for an all-star game, they can get caught up. If they have any questions that maybe they just didn't understand something in a lecture, they could go back and re-watch it. And you'll have those resources for your entire career. And that's why I think, this piece of it, like we've gone way above and beyond, I think, the level of expectation, because I think when we're talking about an 8-week process, which could be quite literally the most important 8 weeks of your football career up to this point, that could have a dramatic impact on whether or not you continue to play or whether you hang up your cleats. Like it's that important. And I think when we have this level of approach, we cannot let any detail go, just get swept under the rug. We're not just doing this to, like I said, check a box. Like this is something that we focus on, and it's a cog to the wheel. It's one piece of the program. But regardless, if we are including it into the program, whatever piece it is, we're going to do this at a world-class level, because that's the kind of that's the kind of attention to detail you guys deserve at this most important time in your football career.
Well,
So
something else that I think is important to consider, if you don't mind me just touching on this, is that we are not a restrictive program when it comes to nutrition. Like, I'm not going to tell you guys to eat grilled chicken, rice, and green beans for 6 meals a day. Like, that's not how we operate. Like, of course, we have our staple meals. We're really lucky to be partnered with Icon Meals and Fit Fixins for both of our locations. We're going to supply some really high quality, nutritious foods. But we practice flexible dieting. All of our athletes do, which essentially means that you can include all things in your diet, especially the food that you love. That's super important to be able to understand how to include that in, the perfect amounts again, so it's not going to negatively impact your performance, but it's going to help support your training goals. Like, some of you guys are going to have 5,000 to 6,000 calories. Like, some of my linemen that want to gain 20 pounds, like, those calorie targets, again, when you're burning so many calories per day in your workouts, they're really high. You can't eat that with just chicken and rice and green beans. So understanding how to play, calorie catch up on the weekends with foods that, again, aren't going to negatively impact your performance is a really important piece of the puzzle. So, having pizza every once in a while is fine. Having a burger with some fries, once a week to kind of get some calories in, refuel your body, is really important. So I think that's important to understand, is that this is not a restrictive diet. We don't roll like that here.
Yeah, and considering the fact that if you're an offensive lineman, you'll very typically on any given week be burning anywhere between 18 to 22,000 calories a week. And we track that because we give you guys heart rate monitors that will track your calorie burn during those sessions. And I think that's an important thing to bring up, because in order to be able to set your goals, your target calorie goals, right? Like, we need to know what your burn rate is, combining your basal metabolic rate with your actual burn rate. So that gives us a great starting point to really set your calorie goals once we know, like, we're not guessing with those things anymore, which is what, before we had this technology, that's how we had to do it. So that's awesome. I'm excited. I'm pumped that we will be able to specifically develop a custom nutrition program for each one of these players. And I know that takes a ton of time. So, totally support it and appreciate it, because it's become such a massive part of what we do on a regular basis now each year. Anything else you wanted to touch on, or is that pretty much it?
No, I think that's it. Just kind of going back to saying, like, don't be afraid to reach out. Once you get myself, like, ask me anything. I'm not going to respond if it's after 9 o'clock at night because I'm in bed, but I'll respond at 4 when I wake up in the morning. But please, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. That is usually, most people just feel like they're being a burden, or they just don't want to ask. They don't feel comfortable. Like, I'm the mom of the combine class at this point. I've been given that that name for a couple of years now. So that's how I want you guys to kind of view me, and, feel comfortable reaching out at any point and with whatever questions, struggles, anything.
Cool. All right. So one last question. So or actually in two parts. So Lauren and I moved to a farm about 1.5 years ago. So I need a couple of farm questions just to give a little snapshot of how crazy we are. All right. So first question is, what's your favorite animal on the farm and why?
Favorite animal on the farm? I don't think I can give a favorite. I love all of them. I've always been an animal lover, which, like, a dog person. Like, I'm the person that will talk to the dog at parties and, like, be antisocial with humans. So that's just gotten way out of control since we live here. Like, I work from home. I'm here full time. So I spend a lot of time talking to animals. I love all our chickens. I love our ducks. I love our geese, even though they're fresh. The llamas and alpacas are great, even though they're kind of stupid and aloof, but they're sweet. I love when we have the pigs on farm. I love our little mini cow Tank. Um, I love everybody. I can't wait to get more cattle and the turkeys back for Thanksgiving. I love everybody. I can't pick a specific one. I love them all. I really
Okay.
do.
Yeah, I will vouch for that. All right. So living on the farm for the last year and a half, what do you think, in your opinion, was our biggest rookie move transitioning into farm life?
Well, I think we did a really good job with doing everything very small scale because we wanted to figure out what we wanted to get into. Did we want to, I mean, we wanted to raise livestock, but we did it all on a small scale so that if we failed, it wouldn't be a huge hit, especially financially. I think the biggest thing that I was not fully ready for was the responsibility of raising animals for meat. When you're a meat eater, you take on that responsibility of understanding that you are killing another animal to eat, which is something that obviously people are very passionate about, vegetarians, vegans, things like that. But as a meat eater, I think I've appreciated that sacrifice and understand the impact that it has on our clients, our family, our kid, to kind of raise really highly nutritious food. And I don't think I was fully ready to understand that consequence. But we've evolved over the last year and a half, and it's a part of farm life, and we respect our animals and love them and appreciate them. And the hardest part is when you lose one unexpectedly to a predator. That's the worst part. But it's all a part of farm life.
Nice.
That's the I think the hardest thing. What's yours?
Easily raising 35-pound turkeys.
Oh, yeah, we've struggled with the turkeys for sure. Year
Yeah,
one, they were huge. Year two, they were way smaller than we expected. So this year we got to get it right.
it's gonna be just right. So
But
2023 Thanksgiving, come get your turkeys.
well, we also haven't broken into cattle breeding yet, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so more to come at Stanton Valley Farm. um, but no, I appreciate everything you do for our players. You obviously see the vision. It's one of the innate things of um, this unique situation where it's kind of a husband and wife team going at the combine prep strategies, which also, I mean, obviously you have a different mentality when it comes to being just as motivated to see these guys succeed as me, and
Sure,
it's
yeah.
it's pretty awesome. I mean, it makes for great conversations at the dinner table when we are actually sitting down and eating,
Sure.
and just kind of working together as a team to get you guys in the best shape of your life. And it means a lot to our family. We take it very seriously when you guys commit to the program. Obviously supporting one another in one another's expertise is something that we respect a great deal about one another. And I think you guys mean a lot to not just our business, but also to our 7-year-old who is inspired by you guys every year. Like every class that comes in, like this kid just gets more and more aggressive, which is awesome. He plays football, plays flag, and is now wrestling. So we're just going to keep kind of rotating him through as many different sports as we can. But you guys are definitely a big deal to him.
Oh yeah.
Um,
He still remembers like the one of the first groups when he, can remember what was he, 2.5? That first year that he was like aware. He still remembers the few guys that took the time to play with him, give him a fist bump. He still watches them on TV. He still gets as excited. It's super cool to watch him understand that like that kid that was in our facility or came to our house for dinner or whatever for like a team food thing, like he's on TV playing professional football. Like, that's the coolest thing for him. So seeing his eyes light up when he sees these guys that he has kind of formed a bond with is really cool.
Yeah. So huge motivating factor for us. Once you guys decide to become part of the Test Football Academy family, it truly is that. And you guys always know that you have a place to return to throughout your entire professional career and beyond. We still keep in touch. In fact, we get our pigs and now our future cows from an ex combine player out in Pennsylvania who's doing an incredible job out there. But it's kind of how we just keep everything in a really tight circle. So we would love to have you guys as part of become a part of our family. And this is something that we take incredibly seriously, and it's actually nice to be involved on a professional level with really good people. But make no mistake about this, like we live and die by the numbers. We are a combine prep facility, and it is our singular job to get you faster, stronger, and more explosive, and we
And
will
leaner.
and leaner, right, in the process. So we will 100% get that done, and we measure everything. So as one last question, so from as far as like your expectations of players, like what do you expect from them when they come in, and what can they expect of you if once they enroll into the program?
Well, I think I expect them to have curiosity about nutrition. Like, there is nothing better than being a curious person and wanting to know why. So obviously the no-brainer is like read the ebook. Like, that's going to give you all the answers. Come to every single session. Like, don't blow off week 5 or 6 of the nutrition meeting because like you didn't feel like waking up that day. We don't roll like that. I am a mom first and foremost. I will nag the hell out of you. Believe that. Um, so those are my expectations. And just to try your best to ask questions and absorb everything. There's ever a question that you have or you're not sure of something, like, again, reach out and you will get, instant responses, very thorough responses from me. I am a type A annoying person when it comes to stuff like that. So everything will be, every T will be crossed and I will be dotted. Um, and if I don't hear from you, I will be reaching out to nag you and try and figure out why you are not logging your food or not ordering your food, because that happens too. So I will be the perfect combination of nagging, but with love.
I will vouch for that wholeheartedly. I tell all these guys, it's that level of attention to detail is a gift and a curse at times.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're pumped. We're so excited for this year and this cycle, kind of launching our Florida location, having 2 spots, being able to exclusively focus on those particular positions in those spots, Bigs in New Jersey, Skills in Florida. It's a very very carefully thought out, well-planned program. And we know that we have one shot at this. We know you guys have one shot at this. This is not our first rodeo. We've helped over 375 guys get in over the last couple of decades. But every one of those players that have made it and even not made it, they all have a story. The good news is that there's never been as many opportunities to play professional football as there are today, with obviously the NFL, the CFL, the XFL, the USFL. Europe's getting so much bigger now with the more games that the NFL ends up playing over there. So that's all great news. And, we would love nothing more than to support your journey to get to the next level. So with that, Lauren, thank you for dedicating your time. And we hope we answered a bunch of your questions on the nutrition front. Just another cog of the wheel of the world-class experience we hope that you guys will appreciate and enjoy and incorporate into your training. So thanks again, and we will see you guys in January.
Thanks, guys.